In a vibrant urban neighborhood, where the scent of fresh produce mingled with the sounds of laughter and chatter, Greenleaf Grocers stood as a cornerstone of community life. Owned by Angela Carter, a black woman in her late 30s, this grocery store was more than just a place to buy food. It was a hub of connection, culture, and empowerment. Angela had built her business from the ground up, fueled by her passion for providing healthy options and supporting local farmers. Meet Angela Carter. Angela was known for her warm smile and genuine interest in her customers' lives. She often greeted them by name, asking about their families and sharing recipes that highlighted seasonal produce. Her commitment to the community extended beyond the aisles of her store. She organized cooking classes, nutrition workshops, and even food drives for families in need. Angela believed that everyone deserved access to fresh, nutritious food, regardless of their background. Despite the challenges she faced as a black woman in business, Angela remained undeterred. She had encountered prejudice and skepticism along her journey, but she used those experiences to fuel her determination. Her store quickly became a beloved fixture in the neighborhood, embodying not just commerce but also a sense of belonging. The community connection. On a bustling Saturday afternoon, Greenleaf Grocers was alive with activity. Families filled the aisles, children giggled as they raced through the produce section, and regular customers exchanged friendly banter with Angela as they shopped. The atmosphere was warm and welcoming, a reflection of Angela's dedication to creating a safe space for everyone. Unbeknownst to Angela, this seemingly ordinary day would soon take an unexpected turn that would challenge everything she had worked for. As she arranged fresh fruits at the entrance of her store, 2 police officers entered. Officer Mark Thompson and Officer Lisa Reyes. They were part of a community policing initiative aimed at fostering relationships between law enforcement and local businesses. However, their presence often elicited mixed feelings among residents due to past encounters with police that left many wary. Mark Thompson was a seasoned officer with over 10 years on the force. He prided himself on his commitment to community policing, but had developed a reputation for being overly aggressive in his approach. Lisa Reyes was relatively new to the department, eager to prove herself but often following Mark's lead without question. The officers' arrival. As they walked through the aisles, Mark's demeanor shifted from friendly to suspicious. He began observing customers closely, scanning their movements as if searching for trouble. Lisa trailed behind him, unsure whether to challenge his behavior or simply follow along. Angela noticed their presence but didn't think much of it at first. After all, they were supposed to be fostering goodwill within the community. However, as she approached them to say hello, she sensed an underlying tension in Mark's posture. "Good afternoon, officers." Angela greeted them with her usual warmth. "How can I help you today?" Mark glanced at her briefly before turning his attention back to scanning the aisles. "Just checking things out," he replied curtly. The incident begins. As Angela continued her work nearby, she overheard Mark making comments about customers who didn't fit his idea of who should be shopping there, comments that made her uneasy. She watched as he approached a young black man who was shopping with his toddler daughter. "Excuse me," Mark said loudly enough for others to hear. "What are you doing here? Do you have any ID on you?" The young man looked taken aback, but replied calmly, "I'm just shopping with my daughter." Mark's tone grew more aggressive as he continued questioning him without any basis or evidence of wrongdoing. Lisa stood by silently, clearly uncomfortable, but unwilling to intervene. Angela felt her heart race as she witnessed this interaction unfold before her eyes. She knew that many people in her community had faced similar humiliations at the hands of law enforcement, an all too familiar scenario that sparked anger and frustration within her. "Officer," Angela interjected firmly but respectfully, stepping closer to them. "Is there a reason you're questioning my customer? He hasn't done anything wrong." Mark turned his gaze toward Angela, irritation flashing across his face. "Mind your own business," he snapped back defensively. A community under siege. The atmosphere in Greenleaf Grocers shifted dramatically as other customers began to notice what was happening. Whispers spread among shoppers. Some pulled out their phones discreetly to record the incident, while others exchanged worried glances. Angela felt compelled to stand her ground, not just for this young man, but for everyone who had ever been treated unfairly because of their race or background. "This is my store," she asserted confidently. "You are making my customers uncomfortable without cause." Mark stepped closer to Angela, his voice lowering but still laced with authority. "You don't want to get involved in something you don't understand," he warned ominously. Angela's resolve only strengthened at his words. She refused to back down in front of her customers or allow fear to dictate how she ran her business. "I understand perfectly well that everyone deserves respect," she replied defiantly. The tipping point. At that moment, Lisa finally spoke up hesitantly. "Maybe we should just let him go. He seems fine." But Mark shot her a glare that silenced her immediately. The tension escalated further when another customer, a middle-aged white woman, stepped forward in support of Angela and the young man. "This is ridiculous. You can't treat people like this," she exclaimed angrily. Mark turned his attention toward her now. His expression hardened as he barked back, "You don't know what you're talking about. We're just doing our jobs." The situation reached a boiling point when Angela decided enough was enough. She pulled out her phone and began recording the incident herself, determined not only to document what was happening, but also to protect those who were being unfairly targeted. "Everyone has rights," Angela stated firmly into the camera as she focused on Mark's face, while continuing to film the unfolding confrontation behind him. The unraveling. As tensions rose inside Greenleaf Grocers, a crowd began gathering outside too. Bystanders who had heard commotion rushed over curious about what was happening within. Word spread quickly through social media. Videos started circulating showing officers confronting Angela and customers inside grocery store. People began expressing outrage over treatment being dished out by law enforcement. Meanwhile, the young man looked increasingly distressed. His daughter clung tightly onto him, sensing something wasn't right. He glanced around desperately, searching for support amidst chaos unfolding around them. Angela felt an overwhelming sense of responsibility, not only toward this father but also toward everyone watching helplessly as their dignity was stripped away right before their eyes. "Please leave him alone," she shouted again, raising voice above noise surrounding them. Mark's face flushed red with anger. He stepped closer, threateningly toward Angela now. "You're crossing a line here," he warned menacingly. But before he could respond further, a loud voice broke through crowd outside. "What's going on in there?" A community unites. A group of activists had arrived, armed with signs demanding justice against police brutality. They had heard rumors about what transpired inside Greenleaf Grocers and rushed over ready stand up against injustice. Seeing familiar faces among crowd gave Angela renewed strength. They were allies, willing fight alongside her against oppressive forces, threatening undermine dignity. Everyone present. "Let him go!" One activist shouted through megaphone while others chanted slogans demanding accountability from law enforcement. Feeling emboldened by support surrounding them, Angela stood firm, facing Mark defiantly. "You have no right treating anyone like this," she declared loudly, capturing attention from those gathered outside too. The crowd erupted into cheers, supporting Angela's stance against police harassment while calling out systemic issues plaguing communities across America. A turning point. In that moment, the tide began turning against Mark Thompson, realizing he was losing control over situation. He stepped back, reluctantly, glancing around nervously at growing crowd outside. Lisa finally found courage to speak up again. "Maybe we should just walk away." Her voice trembled slightly uncertainly, but it echoed sentiments shared by many present, witnessing humiliation unfolding before them. Mark hesitated briefly, weighing options before ultimately deciding retreating would be better than escalating conflict further. With one last glare directed toward Angela, he turned abruptly, leading Lisa outdoor, leaving behind stunned silence filled only sounds, distant chants echoing outside. Aftermath inside the store. As soon as they left, the atmosphere shifted dramatically inside Greenleaf Grocers. Customers erupted into applause, cheering loudly, supporting Angela's bravery, standing up against oppressive forces, threatening undermined dignity everyone present. Angela felt tears welling eyes, overwhelmed by emotions swirling around her. Relief mixed with anger. Frustration knowing this wasn't just isolated incident but part larger systemic problem affecting countless lives across nation. She turned toward young father, still holding on to daughter tightly, offering reassuring smile. "Are you okay?" He nodded slowly, still processing everything that happened moments ago, but gratitude shone through eyes-filled tears. "Thank you," he whispered hoarsely, realizing someone finally stood up for him when it mattered most. The media frenzy. In the days following the confrontation at Greenleaf Grocers, Angela Carter found herself thrust into the spotlight. News outlets quickly picked up the story, highlighting the incident involving police officers and a community grocery store owner. The footage Angela had recorded went viral, igniting conversations about racial profiling and police misconduct across social media platforms. Local news stations broadcast segments featuring interviews with witnesses who had been present during the incident. Many expressed outrage at the treatment Angela and the young father had received. "It's unacceptable," one customer stated emphatically on camera. "This is a community store and we should feel safe here." Angela was approached by reporters eager to hear her side of the story. She agreed to interviews, using each opportunity to advocate for change and raise awareness about systemic racism in policing. "This isn't just about what happened to me or that young man," she explained during an interview with a local news anchor. "This is about a larger issue that affects so many people in our community and beyond." A community united. As news of the incident spread, support for Angela grew exponentially. Community members rallied around her, organizing a peaceful protest outside Greenleaf Grocers to show solidarity against police harassment and to demand accountability from law enforcement. Flyers were distributed throughout the neighborhood, inviting residents to join in solidarity. On the day of the protest, hundreds of people gathered outside the grocery store, holding signs that read, "Justice for all," and "No more harassment." Angela stood at the front of the crowd, her heart swelling with pride as she looked out at her community united for a common cause. "Thank you all for being here today," she called out, her voice ringing clear above the chants. "This is our moment to stand together and demand respect for every member of our community." The crowd erupted into cheers as speakers took turns sharing their own stories of encounters with law enforcement that echoed similar sentiments of humiliation and disrespect. Voices of experience. Among those who spoke was Marcus, a local activist who had been working tirelessly to combat systemic racism in their city. He shared his own harrowing experiences with police officers and emphasized the importance of storytelling in driving change. "When we share our stories," Marcus said passionately, "we shine a light on injustices that too often go unnoticed. We must keep speaking out." Angela felt empowered by Marcus's words. They resonated deeply with her mission to create safe spaces for dialogue within their community. She realized that this protest was not just about one incident, but rather a movement toward systemic change, a chance to amplify voices that had been silenced for far too long, reaching out for support. In addition to local support, Angela reached out to organizations dedicated to fighting racial injustice. She connected with the Coalition for Justice, a nonprofit focused on advocacy and education around police reform. They offered resources and guidance on how to effectively mobilize her community toward meaningful change. With their support, Angela organized further meetings where residents could come together to discuss strategies for addressing police misconduct and advocating for policy changes within their local law enforcement agencies. "We need to hold our officers accountable," she stated during one such meeting. "We can't let this kind of behavior continue unchecked." Building alliances. As Angela's efforts gained momentum, she began building alliances with other local businesses and organizations committed to social justice. She reached out to nearby grocery stores and restaurants, inviting them to join her in standing against racial profiling and supporting community initiatives aimed at fostering inclusivity. Many business owners responded positively. They recognized that by banding together, they could amplify their voices and create a stronger impact within their community. Together, they formed the Unity Alliance, a coalition of local businesses dedicated to promoting diversity and advocating for social justice. Angela felt invigorated by this collaboration. It was a testament to the power of unity in addressing systemic issues affecting their neighborhoods. The call for policy change. With growing support from both individuals and organizations, Angela decided it was time to take action beyond protests and community meetings. She began drafting a proposal outlining specific policy changes aimed at improving police accountability within their city's law enforcement agencies. Her proposal included recommendations such as mandatory training, implementing comprehensive training programs focused on racial bias and de-escalation techniques for all police officers, community oversight boards, establishing independent boards comprised of community members tasked with overseeing police conduct and handling complaints against officers, transparent reporting, requiring law enforcement agencies to publicly report data on arrests, use of force incidents, and complaints filed against officers, community engagement initiatives, encouraging regular dialogue between police officers and community members through town hall meetings and outreach programs. Angela knew that these changes would not happen overnight. However, she believed that by presenting a united front alongside her allies in the Unity Alliance, they could create significant pressure on local government officials to take action. Gaining political support. To gain traction for her proposal, Angela reached out to local politicians who had previously expressed support for social justice initiatives. She arranged meetings with city council members and attended public forums where she could voice her concerns directly. During one such meeting, attended by several city council members, Angela stood before them passionately presenting her proposal while sharing personal anecdotes from her experience, as well as stories from other community members affected by police misconduct. "I urge you all to consider these changes seriously," she implored as she concluded her presentation. "Our community deserves better than this. We deserve respect." Several council members nodded in agreement, while others took notes diligently. Angela felt hopeful that they were beginning to understand the urgency behind her message. Facing opposition. However, not everyone welcomed proposed changes positively. Some residents voiced concerns regarding potential impacts. Policing practices arguing increased oversight could hinder effectiveness, law enforcement agencies, overall ability, maintain order within neighborhoods. Angela listened carefully, acknowledging differing perspectives, but remained steadfast commitment advocating reforms necessary ensure accountability, transparency policing practices moving forward. She organized forums allowing residents express concerns while also providing resources, educating them. Complexities surrounding race relations policing practices, ensuring everyone understood importance, advocating change collectively rather than individually. A growing movement. As months rolled on, Angela's advocacy work continued gaining traction throughout city, inspiring others join fight against systemic racism. The Unity Alliance expanded rapidly, welcoming new members, eager contribute efforts aimed creating equitable society, where everyone treated fairly regardless background. Community events became commonplace, featuring discussions, workshops aimed, educating residents, understanding complexities surrounding race relations, policing practices, ensuring history wouldn't repeat itself. Angela often found herself speaking alongside other activists, sharing insights gained through experiences, encouraging collective action toward meaningful reforms. Her message echoed far beyond local borders, inspiring similar movements spring up across neighboring cities as citizens united demand justice, accountability. Reflections on growth. As summer approached, the movement continued gaining strength, culminating into larger rallies planned downtown, aimed raising awareness surrounding police reform issues impacting communities nationwide. Angela worked tirelessly, coordinating logistics, ensuring event would be impactful. Meaningful experience attendees, while also amplifying voices, often overlooked mainstream narratives surrounding race relations, policing practices. She envisioned rally serving not only platform highlight concerns, but also celebration resilience, strength exhibited by those fighting injustice every day, reminding everyone involved they weren't alone. With each passing week, the anticipation grew, excitement palpable among organizers, participants alike, ready stand united, demanding respect, dignity, equality, everyone regardless background or circumstance. Planning the rally. As the date for the major rally approached, Angela Carter and her allies worked tirelessly to ensure that everything was in place. The Unity Alliance had grown significantly since its inception, with various community organizations, local businesses, and activists joining forces to amplify their message. They wanted to make this rally a powerful statement against racial injustice and police misconduct. Angela coordinated with local musicians and artists to provide entertainment, believing that art could inspire change. She also reached out to speakers who could share their experiences and insights on systemic racism and the need for police reform. Each speaker brought a unique perspective. Some critics labeled protests disruptive, claiming they undermined safety within neighborhoods, while others attempted to downplay significant issues surrounding racial profiling. However, Angela remained undeterred, refusing to let negativity deter momentum built over past months, instead focusing energy. Uplifting voices often silenced. She organized counter-events, emphasizing importance dialogue, fostering understanding, bridging gaps between differing perspectives, encouraging empathy, compassion among all participants involved. Building bridges. One notable event took place at a local high school, a forum where students were invited to engage in discussions regarding race relations policing practices. Angela collaborated closely with educators, ensuring curriculum included topics related to social justice, empowering students understand complexities surrounding these issues, while also encouraging them speak out against injustices encountered. During forum, students shared personal stories, experiences related encounters, law enforcement, often highlighting feelings, fear, vulnerability faced when interacting authority figures. One student named Jordan spoke passionately, recounting how friends had been stopped unjustly simply walking home after school. "I don't understand why this happens," he exclaimed frustratedly, shaking head. "Why can't we just walk without being scared?" His words resonated deeply within room, prompting nods agreement among peers gathered listening intently. Angela encouraged open dialogue, allowing students express concerns while also providing resources empowering them take action, advocate change within own communities. By end evening, students left feeling inspired, motivated, ready to tackle challenges ahead, while recognizing importance standing together, fighting injustice wherever encountered. A legacy of change. As summer approached, the movement continued gaining strength, culminating into larger rallies planned downtown, aimed raising awareness surrounding police reform issues impacting communities nationwide. Angela worked tirelessly, coordinating logistics, ensuring event would be impactful, meaningful experience attendees, while also amplifying voices often overlooked mainstream narratives surrounding race relations, policing practices. She envisioned rallies serving not only platform highlight concerns, but also celebration resilience, strength exhibited by those fighting injustice every day, reminding everyone involved they weren't alone. The road ahead. With each passing week, the movement continued gaining momentum. Local news outlets covered developments surrounding Angela's advocacy work, drawing attention from larger media organizations, eager share stories, highlighting grassroots movements fighting against systemic racism. In response, pressure mounting from constituents, some city officials expressed willingness to engage further discussions regarding policy changes proposed by Angela. At one pivotal town hall meeting, a panel discussion featuring both police representatives alongside community leaders took place. Angela sat among audience eagerly awaiting responses from those tasked with ensuring safety within neighborhoods, while also holding them accountable when necessary. When it was time for questions, she raised hand determined to make voice heard once more. "Thank you all for being here today," she began confidently addressing panelists seated before her. "I want to know what steps will be taken. Moving forward, address concerns raised by residents regarding policing practices." Responses from officials. The police chief spoke first, acknowledging recent events had sparked conversations within department about improving relationships between officers communities served. "We recognize there's work needed to rebuild trust," he stated earnestly, looking directly at Angela. "We're committed reviewing training protocols, ensuring all officers receive education around implicit bias." While his words sounded promising, Angela remained cautious, knowing actions spoke louder than promises alone. Next, a city council member addressed audience sharing plans, established task force focused examining policies related policing practices. "We hear you loud clear," he said, firmly gesturing toward audience filled with concerned citizens, eager to see change happen. "Your voices matter, and we will work diligently to ensure accountability moving forward." Cheers erupted from crowd as many felt reassured, knowing their advocacy efforts were beginning to yield results. Building alliances. As Angela's efforts gained momentum, she began building alliances with other local businesses, organizations committed to social justice. She reached out nearby grocery stores, restaurants, inviting them, join fight against racial profiling, supporting community initiatives aimed fostering inclusivity. Many business owners responded positively. They recognized that by banding together, they could amplify their voices, create stronger impact within community. Together, they formed the Unity Alliance, coalition local businesses dedicated promoting diversity, advocating social justice. Angela felt invigorated by this collaboration. It was testament power unity, addressing systemic issues affecting neighborhoods. A growing movement. With growing support from both individuals' organizations, Angela decided it was time to take action beyond protests, community meetings. She began drafting proposal outlining specific policy changes aimed at improving police accountability within cities' law enforcement agencies. Her proposal included recommendations such as mandatory training, implementing comprehensive training programs focused on racial bias de-escalation techniques for all police officers. Community oversight boards, establishing independent boards comprised community members tasked overseeing police conduct, handling complaints against officers. Transparent reporting, requiring law enforcement agencies publicly report data arrests, use of force incidents, complaints filed against officers. Community engagement initiatives, encouraging regular dialogue between police officers, community members through town hall meetings, outreach programs. Angela knew these changes wouldn't happen overnight. However, she believed presenting United Front alongside allies' Unity Alliance, they could create significant pressure. Local government officials take action. Gaining political support. To gain traction for her proposal, Angela reached out local politicians who had previously expressed support social justice initiatives. She arranged meetings. City council members attended public forums where she could voice concerns directly. During one such meeting attended several city council members, Angela stood before them passionately presenting proposals, sharing personal anecdotes, experience, well as stories other community members affected police misconduct. "I urge you all consider these changes seriously," she implored, concluding presentation. "Our community deserves better than this. We deserve respect." Several council members nodded agreement, while others took notes diligently. Angela felt hopeful they were beginning to understand urgency behind message. Facing opposition again. However, not everyone welcomed proposed changes positively. Some residents voiced concerns regarding potential impacts. Policing practices, arguing increased oversight could hinder effectiveness. Law enforcement agencies, overall, ability to maintain order within neighborhoods. Angela listened carefully, acknowledging differing perspectives, but remained steadfast commitment advocating reforms necessary, ensure accountability, transparency policing practices moving forward. She organized forums allowing residents express concerns, while also providing resources, educating them, complexities surrounding race relations, policing practices, ensuring everyone understood importance, advocating change collectively rather than individually. The day of the rally. The day of the rally dawned bright and clear, a perfect backdrop for what Angela Carter hoped would be a transformative event. As she arrived at City Hall Park, the atmosphere was electric with anticipation. Banners fluttered in the gentle breeze, each emblazoned with messages of hope and justice. Angela felt a mix of excitement and nervousness as she surveyed the scene. Volunteers from the Unity Alliance were busy setting up chairs and sound equipment. Local musicians were tuning their instruments, ready to provide entertainment that would uplift spirits throughout the day. Angela took a moment to breathe deeply, soaking in the energy of her community, coming together for a common cause. A diverse gathering. As the crowd began to gather, Angela was heartened by the diversity of those who showed up. Families with children, elderly couples, young activists, and local business owners all mingled together, united by their desire for change. It was a beautiful tapestry of humanity, each person bringing their unique story and perspective. Angela moved through the crowd, greeting familiar faces and meeting new supporters. "Thank you for being here," she said repeatedly, her heart swelling with gratitude. She knew that today was not just about her. It was about everyone who had ever felt marginalized or oppressed. Opening remarks. As the rally commenced, Angela stepped onto the stage to deliver her opening remarks. The crowd cheered as she approached the microphone, her heart racing with a mixture of excitement and purpose. "Thank you all for coming today," she began, her voice ringing out across the park. "Today is not just a protest, it is a celebration of our resilience. We are here to demand justice, accountability, and respect for every member of our community." The crowd erupted into applause, their enthusiasm palpable. Angela continued passionately, recounting the events that had sparked this movement, the confrontation at Greenleaf Grocers and the systemic issues it represented. "We will not be silenced," she declared. "We will stand together until our voices are heard." Voices from the community. The rally featured a lineup of speakers who shared their personal stories and insights on systemic racism and police reform. Marcus, a local activist who had been instrumental in organizing community meetings since the incident at Greenleaf Grocers, spoke passionately about his own experiences with police encounters that had left him feeling powerless. "I've been stopped just for walking down my own street," he said emphatically. "This is not just my story. It's a story shared by many in our community." The crowd responded with applause as Marcus continued to share his vision for a future where everyone felt safe in their neighborhoods. "We demand accountability, we demand change, and we will not stop until our voices are heard." Next up was Mrs. Jenkins, the retired school teacher who had bravely stood up during the confrontation at Greenleaf Grocers. Her presence brought warmth and wisdom to the stage as she shared her thoughts on education and advocacy. "We must teach our children about justice and equality," she urged. They are our future, and it is our responsibility to ensure they grow up in a world free from fear. A musical interlude. Following Mrs. Jenkins's inspiring words, local musicians took to the stage to perform uplifting songs that resonated with the crowd's spirit. The music filled the park with joy and energy, reinforcing a sense of unity among attendees. Angela watched from the sidelines, her heart swelling with pride as she saw people dancing and singing along. This was more than just a protest. It was a celebration of community resilience. Challenges arise. However, as the rally continued, Angela knew that challenges lay ahead. While most attendees were supportive, there were still individuals who opposed their message. A small group of counter-protesters appeared on the fringes of City Hall Park, holding signs that read, "Blue Lives Matter," and shouting slogans meant to provoke anger. Angela felt a surge of anger, but reminded herself to stay focused on their mission. She knew that responding to hate with hate would only derail their efforts. Instead, she encouraged her supporters to remain peaceful and keep their eyes on the goal, advocating for justice. "Let's not engage with negativity," Angela called out to her crowd. "We're here for love, unity, and change." A moment of reflection. As speakers continued sharing their stories throughout the day, Angela took a moment to reflect on how far they had come since that fateful day at Greenleaf Grocers. She thought about how fear had once governed so many interactions in her community, but now hope was taking its place. She remembered how alone she had felt when confronting Officer Mark Thompson, how scared she had been when standing up for that young father in her store. But now she was surrounded by hundreds of people who believed in change just as fiercely as she did. The petition drive toward the end of the rally, Angela announced an important initiative. They would be launching a petition calling for specific reforms within local law enforcement agencies. She explained what changes they were advocating for: mandatory training on racial bias for officers, community oversight boards to hold police accountable, transparent reporting practices regarding arrests and use of force incidents. "Let's make our voices heard," Angela urged passionately. "Together we can create real change. Let's sign this petition today." The crowd responded enthusiastically. Many rushed forward, eager to lend their support, while others began discussing ways to spread awareness beyond rally itself. Media coverage. As news crews captured footage of the rally, their cameras panned over smiling faces, holding signs aloft in solidarity. Local news stations broadcast segments featuring interviews with witnesses who had been present during previous incidents involving police misconduct in their neighborhoods. Angela was approached by reporters eager to hear her side of things again. She agreed to interviews using each opportunity advocate for change raise awareness about systemic racism in policing. "This isn't just about what happened at Greenleaf Grocers," she reiterated during one interview with a local news anchor. "This is about all of us standing together against injustice." The aftermath. In the days following the rally, Angela's efforts began yielding results. The petition quickly gained traction, thousands signing online, while local organizations rallied behind cause-amplifying message throughout city. Angela worked closely with the Coalition for Justice, ensuring voices marginalized communities remained central discussions surrounding police reform initiatives. Together, they organized additional meetings where residents could come together, share experiences, discuss strategies addressing systemic racism head-on. As conversations unfolded, Angela recognized importance involving youth shaping future narratives surrounding policing practices, ensuring history wouldn't repeat itself. Facing opposition again. Despite progress made along the way, Angela faced challenges too. Backlash emerged from individuals resistant change, often dismissing concerns raised marginalized communities. Some critics labeled protests disruptive, claiming they undermined safety within neighborhoods, while others attempted to downplay significant issues surrounding racial profiling. However, Angela remained undeterred, refusing to let negativity deter momentum built over past months, instead focusing energy, uplifting voices often silenced. She organized counter-events, emphasizing importance dialogue, fostering understanding, bridging gaps between differing perspectives, encouraging empathy, compassion among all participants involved. Building bridges. One notable event took place at a local high school, a forum where students were invited, engage in discussions regarding race relations policing practices. Angela collaborated closely with educators, ensuring curriculum included topics related to social justice, empowering students understand complexities surrounding these issues, while also encouraging them speak out against injustices encountered. During forum, students shared personal stories, experiences, related encounters, law enforcement, often highlighting feelings, fear, vulnerability faced when interacting authority figures. One student named Jordan spoke passionately, recounting how friends had been stopped unjustly simply walking home after school. "I don't understand why this happens," he exclaimed frustratedly, shaking head. "Why can't we just walk without being scared?" His words resonated deeply within room, prompting nods agreement among peers gathered, listening intently. Angela encouraged open dialogue, allowing students express concerns while also providing resources empowering them. Take action, advocate change within own communities. By end evening, students left feeling inspired, motivated, ready to tackle challenges ahead, while recognizing importance standing together, fighting injustice wherever encountered. A growing movement. As summer rolled into fall, the movement continued gaining strength, culminating into larger rallies planned downtown, aimed raising awareness surrounding police reform issues impacting communities nationwide. Facing challenges. Despite the progress being made, challenges still loomed large. Angela faced backlash from some COM. Angela worked tirelessly coordinating logistics, ensuring events would be impactful, meaningful experiences, attendees while also amplifying voices often overlooked mainstream narratives surrounding race relations, policing practices. She envisioned rallies serving not only platforms highlight concerns, but also celebrations, resilient strength exhibited by those fighting injustice every day, reminding everyone involved they weren't alone. With each passing week, the anticipation grew, excitement palpable among organizers, participants alike, ready stand, united, demanding respect, dignity, equality, everyone regardless background or circumstance. The impact of the rally. In the weeks following the rally, Angela Carter noticed a palpable shift in her community. The energy that had filled City Hall Park was now a steady hum of activism, with residents more engaged than ever in discussions about racial justice and police reform. The petition she had launched began to gain traction, with thousands of signatures pouring in from both local supporters and individuals across the country who resonated with their cause. Angela felt a renewed sense of purpose as she met with members of the Coalition for Justice to strategize their next steps. They discussed how to maintain momentum and keep the conversation alive in local media. "We need to ensure that our demands for change don't fade into the background," she said during one meeting. "This is just the beginning." Building alliances. With growing support from various community organizations and local businesses, Angela began to build alliances that would strengthen their movement. She reached out to other activists who had been involved in similar efforts across the city, inviting them to collaborate on initiatives aimed at addressing systemic racism. One such partnership formed with Youth for Justice, a group of young activists dedicated to empowering their peers through education and advocacy. Together, they organized workshops focused on understanding rights during police encounters, teaching young people how to navigate interactions with law enforcement safely. Angela also collaborated with local schools to implement programs that educated students about social justice issues. She believed that by equipping the next generation with knowledge and tools for advocacy, they could create lasting change. Facing challenges. Despite the progress being made, challenges still loomed large. Angela faced backlash from some community members who felt threatened by the changes being proposed. There were accusations that her efforts would lead to increased crime, or that they undermined law enforcement's ability to do their jobs effectively. Angela remained steadfast in her commitment to fostering dialogue and understanding. She organized community forums where residents could express their concerns openly and engage in constructive conversations about policing and safety. "It's important that we listen to each other," Angela emphasized during one such forum. "We can't move forward if we're not willing to engage with differing perspectives." A turning point. As tensions simmered, a significant turning point arrived when Angela received an invitation from the City Council to present her proposal for police reform directly to local government officials. This was an opportunity she had been working toward since the rally, and she knew it could be pivotal in advancing their cause. On the day of her presentation, Angela gathered her notes and took a deep breath before stepping into the council chamber. The room was filled with city officials, community leaders, and members of the public eager to hear what she had to say. As she stood before them, she felt a mix of nerves and determination. "Thank you for allowing me this opportunity," she began. "Today I am here not just as a business owner, but as a representative of my community, a community that deserves respect and accountability." Presenting her proposal, Angela outlined her proposal clearly and passionately, detailing each recommendation aimed at improving police accountability. Mandatory training. She emphasized the need for comprehensive training programs focused on racial bias and de-escalation techniques for all officers. Community oversight boards. Angela advocated for independent boards comprised of community members tasked with overseeing police conduct and handling complaints against officers. Transparent reporting. She called for law enforcement agencies to publicly report data on arrests, use of force incidents, and complaints filed against officers. Community engagement initiatives. Angela urged for regular dialogue between police officers and community members through town hall meetings and outreach programs. "I believe these changes will foster trust between law enforcement and our community," Angela concluded passionately. "We can create a safer environment for everyone if we work together." Responses from officials. As she finished her presentation, there was a moment of silence in the chamber before several council members began nodding in agreement. One council member spoke up. "Thank you for your insights today, Angela. We recognize that there are significant issues within our policing practices that need addressing." Another official added, "We appreciate your commitment to this cause and your willingness to engage constructively with us." Angela felt a surge of hope as discussions began among council members about how best to implement these changes. While there were still skeptics in the room, many seemed genuinely interested in finding solutions. Community support. In the days following her presentation, Angela received overwhelming support from her community. Social media buzzed with messages of encouragement as residents rallied behind her efforts. Local news outlets covered the story extensively, highlighting not only Angela's advocacy but also the growing movement for police reform across the city. Angela organized another community meeting where residents could share their thoughts on her recent presentation and discuss next steps. The turnout was impressive. People filled the room eager to contribute ideas and show solidarity. During this meeting, one resident suggested creating a coalition of local businesses committed to supporting social justice initiatives. "If we can get more businesses involved," he said enthusiastically, "we can amplify our message even further, expanding their reach." With renewed energy behind them, Angela worked closely with the Unity Alliance to expand their reach beyond just local efforts. They began connecting with national organizations focused on police reform, seeking guidance while also sharing their own experiences as part grassroots movement, advocating change. They organized webinars featuring experts discussing effective strategies for engaging communities around issues-related policing practices, ensuring everyone understood importance advocating change, collectively, rather than individually. As word spread about these initiatives, more individuals joined forces, eager to lend support, amplifying voices often overlooked mainstream narratives surrounding race relations, policing practices. A growing movement. As fall turned into winter, the movement continued gaining strength, culminating into larger rallies planned downtown, aimed raising awareness surrounding police reform issues impacting communities nationwide. Angela worked tirelessly coordinating logistics, ensuring events would be impactful, meaningful experiences, attendees, while also amplifying voices often overlooked mainstream narratives surrounding race relations policing practices. She envisioned rallies serving not only platforms highlight concerns, but also celebrations resilient strength exhibited by those fighting injustice every day, reminding everyone involved they weren't alone. With each passing week, the anticipation grew, excitement palpable among organizers, participants alike, ready stand united demanding respect, dignity, equality, everyone regardless background or circumstance. Reflections on progress. As Angela reflected on journey taken since initial incident, Greenleaf Grocers, she felt immense pride knowing had sparked movement, empowering countless individuals across city come together, fight against systemic racism. While challenges remained ahead, she believed firmly, power collective action, reminding herself every step forward mattered toward creating equitable society where everyone treated fairly, respected regardless background or circumstance. Together, they would continue advocating change, ensuring future generations wouldn't have endured same struggles experienced today. In this ever-evolving landscape filled hope possibility, their legacy would serve beacon, guiding those willing embrace change, championing inclusivity, equity workplaces everywhere.